Good morning, Jen the Liberty Lion. Today is December 26th, 2025. I hope you all had a great, wonderful Christmas with friends, family, loved ones, neighbors, or anyone you enjoy spending your time with. I have a video here on the word for, and I haven't proofread this, but I want to go ahead and get this video out because I have some other videos I want to work on and I need to move things along. So this video, um, I basically got information from a lot of different sources. The books for this video are ones on words. So the use of words, the power of words. These books are intended for people who are writing or writers who write novels or nonfiction, any kind of writing, speech, people who write speeches and give speeches. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the word for. Okay, so there are at least 35 senses for the word for. Keep in mind that for is in the Constitution and it's in the preamble. And I've talked a lot about the word for in the preamble, how it says, "We, the people of the United States, do all these things." And then it says, "For the United States of America." So these senses are all different ways in which the word for is used. Each sense may carry a different meaning, denotation, or connotation, giving the word for a variety of meanings. So here's a simple example. Bill is for hire. In this example, for is used as meaning services available. Service he provides is work or the benefit of his labor. More complex examples, not really complicated, but just a little bit more complex, are Bill couldn't walk for legs that failed him. For here is the cause. So you can pause this video and come up with a few sentences of your own using for and list the way in which or the sense of the word is used. Of course, you know me by now, and you know I'll bring your mind back to the Constitution. It's just a way of understanding it better, nothing complicated. For years, I've heard people say that the United States is just a shorter way of saying the United States of America. But I'll show you how, and I have showed you how in the past, that this is just not true. Okay, so we shorten the preamble. We take out the middle section so you can see more clearly. A shortened sentence can be seen in a couple ways. The United States of America is the beneficiary for the work performed by the United States. So when we say Bill is for hire or Bill is looking for work, we're saying the United States works for the United States of America. When Bill works for someone else, the other person is the beneficiary of Bill's labor. So the United States of America is the beneficiary of what the United States does for the states, United States of America. The United States works for the United States of America, which then results in the United States of America being the beneficiary of the labor of the United States. Webster's Unabridged Dictionary, second edition, 1948, lists 11 meanings involving senses such as in consideration of which something is done or takes place. Does it for John? I'd also like to mention real quick that in certain wills, you can find written by well-known people such as George Washington. There's a simple and easy way of making someone the beneficiary in your will, and that's by using the word for. And I'm pretty sure it's in Washington's will. So if you go out and look for Washington's will, and in his will, he created a trust by using the word for, which made someone a beneficiary, then you can find your own example in there of the use of the word for beneficiary purposes. Substitutes or compensations, such as saying I for an I. The cause, motive, or occasion for an act. He did it for money. Information that can be overridden. For all her flaws, she has a good heart. Proportion. For one winner, there are 1,000 losers. Specification. He is tall for his age. Duration in time. For many years. Duration in space. For many miles. Then the preamble. We, the military, work for the states. And how do we come to this conclusion? The president has two positions within his office. He is both, according to the Constitution, the representative of the states and of the military. How can this be discovered? You read Article 1, Section, or Article 2, Section 1, which calls the president the executive officer of the United States of America, as well as representative of the United States or the military, where in fact his title is Commander in Chief. Use of the word for can get grainy when trying to understand it. Another example. A politician makes the statement that he is for a minimum wage. People were angry and called him out on during his next campaign and said that he was a liar because he voted against minimum wage. The politician responded to the attack by claiming the legislation for minimum wage included for two undesirable reasons within it that caused him to vote against it. With his statements, he relied on voters to understand the 36th sense of the word for. And I think he's using 36 as something beyond what is listed in uh, some of the dictionaries that have 35 senses for the use of the word for. So he's asking voters or relying on voters to go beyond the senses for his particular situation, for using the sense in the context which he means it. So I've also seen a lot of people say, well, on means this, and for means that, and within means this, and in means that. And it all depends on context. There's definitions of words, but then there's senses in which we use the words. And these senses can go beyond anything that we can find in a dictionary because it may depend on a particular context, um, to a certain situation that's maybe unusual or out of the ordinary. So there's something else I want to add here. Um, a few months ago, the president and Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, called the top military officers in Quantico, Virginia. And to me, this appeared to be the meeting of the military called for in the Constitution. But when they are intending to talk about the military, they're talking about the United States. Article 1, Section 4, Paragraph or Clause 2. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. So that really is not part of the word for, but I wanted to add that in here um, because I wanted to point out how the United States, as far as I can tell, is the military. And that when we say things like the stuff in the preamble, we say the United States, we the people of the United States, and then it says these things like justice, tranquility, general welfare, blessings of liberty, defense. They're saying that they're going to protect those things for the states. So the states came together and they formed a government, but then all the states also independently and individually agreed to have a military which would have certain powers. And then those powers were listed in the Constitution. And one of the things they were supposed to do is meet at least once a year. And we have our United States of America Congress, and we can tell the difference between the two because we have two different enacting clauses. And I've showed you that in other videos where you have an enacting clause, the representatives of the United States of America, meaning the representatives of the states. And then in Congress assembled, the United States is a different enacting clause. So the United States in Congress assembled is another enacting clause, and that's talking about the military enacting things that they're supposed to do for the military, to go out and do those things in the Constitution. So it's not really a complex system once you realize the entirety of it all. Um, but I think it's complicated to the human mind, to stop thinking one thing and think something else. So if you read a sentence and somebody tells you it means this one thing, and then years later somebody says, well, that's not what it means, it actually means this, you keep going back to the original thing you learned. So sometimes it's not easy to relearn something, or to think of the second thing you learned because you automatically seem to always think the first thing you learned. So you have to retrain yourself. And so these videos are, I'm putting them out to try to help people learn to retrain themselves to think about things in a different way, given a little bit more information, some factual information that people can regurgitate in their brain, I guess, mull over, and come to some realization that things are not what we've been told they are. And not only is it intuitive, but there's proof of it. So with that, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be coming out with another video soon.